This is Revelations. This is Revelations 11. Hold on, Salaki. This is Revelations 11 and 14. The second woe is past, and behold, the third woe cometh quickly. I'd like to start off by saying, Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahushai, Kol Halon La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Bachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone who rule well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that's listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing that the lesson is edifying. It's the brother Shabab on Mwam back at you with another lesson. I'm going into the title. All right, we're going to war. All right, Ww3 is imminent. All right, and real quick, inspiration comes from a post that one of the brothers out there in Maryland posted up on Instagram. All right. Let me bring it up real quick. Salaki. It's annoying when I gotta go back looking for it when I just had it. And basically it said that Russia and China, all right, are now going to join. Okay. It says China and Russia say we will protect Iran and Venezuela against the US. Okay. So they're going to protect, okay, Venezuela and Iran against the US. All right. And instantly that just reminded me of Ezekiel, the 38th chapter, all right, with Russia being a guard onto these other nations, okay, which I'll grab. Which I'll grab that now, and then I'll grab a little. Matter of fact, let me play the video first, and then I'll grab the scriptures. All right. But you know, again, Ww3 is imminent. All right, so now you know you're gonna see a lot of that draft about to come right around the corner. Okay, it's gonna be a heavy draft because you're gonna have United States is gonna need some troops to go against all these different nations that are actually turning against, all right, America. Okay, so let's just grab this video real quick and then I grab some scriptures. All right, it says 5th, Russia, Iran meet in 2025. Right, what are they plotting? Okay, let me play it.
Feel the love, honey, this Christmas. We highly value the regular, trustworthy dialogue between our ministries, following the path of open, friendly dialogue between our leaders. And, of course, the fact that this current meeting is the 5th in 2025 between us speaks volumes about the coordination of our foreign policy activities, especially considering that today we will be signing, for the first time, a plan for consultations between foreign policy departments up to the years 2026 to 2028. Certainly, the main event, the milestone event of this year in our relations was the signing and entry into force of the Comprehensive Strategic Partnership Agreement, which cements the special nature of our cooperation and sets the direction for all priority areas for the next 20 years. Presidents Putin and Pezeshkian at a meeting in Ashgabat a few days ago discussed the tasks arising from this key document. And today we have a great opportunity to discuss our foreign policy contribution to addressing those tasks. I am confident that today we will pay special attention to discussing various regional and international situations to strengthen and improve the quality of our coordination on these issues, including, of course, the situation surrounding the Iranian nuclear program, the state of affairs in the Middle East, primarily in the Palestinian territories, and a number of other issues that traditionally form the agenda of our negotiations. Dear Mr. Lavrov, Thank you very much for inviting both myself and my cadre to the meeting, just as you said. Our consultation has continuously and closely proceeded, and it has been flowing on all fronts over the past year and a half. Our presidents have met 5 times, and I have also regularly met with you in Moscow, Tehran, and in other countries have meetings together. The ties between Iran and Russia are comprehensive and multifaceted, with political, economic, cultural, defense, and security issues included in a program, with signing a comprehensive partnership agreement, and its implementation this year gives these relations more acceleration. In the meeting between the presidents of the 2 countries last Friday in Ashgabat, all aspects of relations were thoroughly reviewed, and today we have the opportunity to take time to review the details of these relations. We also have the opportunity to discuss important regional and international issues, both in our region and in yours, and we fortunately share positions on almost all international issues. We've always supported each other on all issues. Our relations are getting closer and more constant each day. We condemn Russia's stance on America's and Israel's attack on Iran, and Russia express solidarity and support for the Iranian people. Again, we thank you for your invitation and your warm hospitality towards me and my cadre. Hospitality is not yet in place, but it will be for sure.
So you see, now you got, you got Russia and Iran, you know what I'm saying, coming together, all right? And this is for the first time, you see, that they're actually coming together. So first thing that it reminded me of was Ezekiel 38th chapter, all right? And I'll take it from the top and read a little bit of it, right? So it says, I'll take it from 2. It says, Son of man, set thy face against Gog and the land of Magog, chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and prophesy against him, and say, Thus saith the Lord Yahushai, right? Behold, I am against thee, O Gog, and chief prince of Meshech and Tubal, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth, and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. All right. So the Lord is going to put, all right, back to Russia, back into that USSR spirit. You see, that Soviet Union spirit that they once had. You see, because they were quiet for a long time. All right, but now the Lord said, "What? I will stir up the Medes." Okay. Matter of fact, let's grab that real quick. This is 1 second. So he's going to stir up the Medes, and eventually, what he's going to do, all right, he's going to give Russia that evil thought, right, to go against America. And hey, that's all prophecy, because see, Russia's going to be the one that takes America out completely, all right, along with these other nations, okay? But the main one's going to be Russia, all right? And this is why you see Russia being a guard onto all these other nations, all right? And see, the thing is, you got Russia, which is a straight powerhouse, and then you got China that's also joining, all right? And that's another big powerhouse. So them two combined alone, all right, can take out America. See, now they got the rest of these other nations, all right, that are being guarded by them, okay, being guarded by Russia. So that's going to make them even more powerful, okay? Shalom, sister Yahweh. So this is Isaiah 13:17. It says, Behold, I will stir up the Medes against them, which shall not regard silver, and as for gold, they shall not delight in it, okay? So again, you know, the Lord's going to stir them up, okay, these Medes, and put them back into that old Soviet Union spirit, all right? And they're going to become that big powerhouse, all right? Because it's prophecy at the end of the day, all right? So let me continue reading. It says, their bows shall dash the young men to pieces, and they shall have no pity on the fruit of the womb. Their eyes shall not spare children. And Babylon, the glory of kingdoms, the beauty of Chaldees, excellency, shall be as when Yahweh overthrew Sodom and Gomorrah. You see? So eventually this place is going to be annihilated, all right? Just like Sodom and Gomorrah was, all right? The Lord's going to put the spirit on the Medes to annihilate this place along with these other nations, all right? And also these allies of America are eventually going to turn against them also. All right, as the scriptures tell you in the Revelations, right? The beast shall hate the whore. Okay, so all these nations is going to come up against America. All right, let's grab this real quick. This precept. This is 2nd Ezra 16. All right, 2nd Ezra 16, and you grab it from. Let's grab it from 3. Right, it says, a sword is sent upon you, and who may turn it back? A fire is sent among you, and who may quench it? Plagues are sent unto you, and what is he that may drive them away? May any man drive away any hungry lion in the wood, or may any one quench the fire in stubble when it has begun to burn? May one turn again the arrow that is shot of a strong archer? The mighty Lord Yahweh sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? You see, and this is what the Lord is preparing. He's preparing that plague, all right, that's going to make Babylon the Great be destroyed. All right, when you go into, real quick, this is Revelations, all right, let me go straight to the point. All right, 4:18 and 4 in Revelations, it says, and I heard another voice from heaven saying, come out of her, my people, that ye be not partakers of her sins, and that ye receive not of her plagues. Okay, for her sins have reached unto heaven, and Yahweh has remembered her iniquities. Reward her even as she rewarded you, and double unto her according to her works. In the cup which she has filled to her double. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow give her. For she saith in her heart, I sit a queen and am no widow, and shall see no sorrow. Therefore shall her plagues come in one day, death and mourning and famine, and she shall be utterly burned with fire. For strong is the Lord Yahweh, all right, who judgeth her. Okay, so it's talking about America, all right, being so greatly, glorified and deliciously living, all right, that eventually, with her mindset saying that she cannot be touched, all right, the Lord is going to end up touching her. You see, with these thermonuclear missiles. Okay, so it says, come out of her, my people, all right, meaning you Israelites, all right, come out of the ways of Babylon, so you don't receive the plagues, all right, and you be not partaker of her sins, because her sins have reached onto the heavens. So what's the plagues that's coming upon this place, man? All right, the plague is going to be Zechariah 14 and 12. And it says, and this shall be the plague wherewith the Lord Yahweh will smite all the people that have fought against Jerusalem. Their flesh shall consume away while they stand upon their feet, and their eyes shall consume away in their holes, and their tongue shall consume away in their mouth. You see, and that's talking about those thermonuclear missiles. Okay, so that's the only way that this place is going to end up going. All right, from New York City to California. All right, this place is going to be a great big sacrifice in Basra. Okay, America being that great altar. All right, the thermonuclear missiles being that fire that's going to be put upon that altar to make that great sacrifice. You see, and America being that sacrifice. All right, and everything's going to be resetted. The great reset of Yahweh Bashim Yahweh Shai. All right, to the point where all the elements, all right, themselves are going to be resetted. You see. So, this place is going to utterly fall in 1 hour, as the scriptures tell you. Okay. So let's grab this, going back to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. All right. It says, back to 4, and it says, and I will turn thee back and put hooks into thy jaws, and I will bring thee forth and all thine army, horses and horsemen, all of them clothed with all sorts of armor, even a great company with bucklers and shields, all of them handling swords. Okay, so that's going into all these different military weapons, all these different military, military company that they have. All right, these tanks, these fighter jets. Okay, everything that they have that's militia. All right, the Lord is going to bring them back. Okay, it says Persia, Ethiopia, Libya with them. All right. When you go into Persia, that's going into those modern day Iranians, you see, and that's why you see Russia right now, all right, joining, okay, with Iran, you see, because it's biblical, it's prophecy. Okay. It says Ethiopia, which that goes into the Sudanese, all right, Kush, all right, and then Libya going into, Africa. Okay. It says all of them with shield and helmet. So each and one of them are going to have power also. Okay. See, remember at one point, Russia was the one that had all this power. All right. But now these other nations that were once weak, okay, now they are saying, I am strong, right? Because now they're showing their teeth. Now they have hypersonic missiles, they have thermonuclear missiles also. All these nations that once were, soft to America, are have now become strong because they have the same type of instruments, okay? The same type of instrument that America has, all these thermonuclear missiles, okay? As a matter of fact, let's grab Isaiah 54. All right. This is Isaiah 54 and 16. It says, behold, I have created the smith that bloweth the coals in the fire, and that bringeth forth an instrument for his work, and I have created the waster to destroy. Okay. So, the modern day smith, all right, is these modern day scientists. Okay. And they are the ones that have created these different types of instruments. All right, that's that instrument for war going into these missiles. All right, and the Lord has created the ways to destroy. You see, He has put the spirit and intelligence on them to be able to create this instrument just to destroy themselves with it. You see, because at the end of the day, man, Yahushua ain't got to really do nothing, man. Man will destroy themselves because of their pride, you know. But of course, because it's prophecy, Yahweh Shai has to, intervene, and he has to get his licks, you see, because of what they did, all right, to our people, what they did to Yahweh Shai. All right, so the Lord got to intervene anyway and lift up a standard against all these nations, the main one being Esau, Edom. Okay. So let's grab this real quick. This is Psalms. Let me grab it from here. This is Psalms 9 and this is 9 and 15, and it says, the heathen are sunk down in the pit that they made, in the net which they hid is their own foot taken. The Lord Yahweh is known by the judgment which he executeth. The wicked is snared into the work of his own hands. Okay. The wicked shall be turned into hell, and all nations, all right, and all the nations that forgot Yahweh by Hashem Yahweh Shai. You see, so they created these snares, right? They created these things, all right. But the Lord is going to take them, all right, in their own snare at the end of the day, all right. These things that they have created, all right, and that's why the Lord said, He has created the wicked even for the day of evil, okay. So he has created the wicked for the day of evil, all right, for the day of judgment. He has had him create, an instrument, all right, that is made to destroy things, man. The waster that's made to destroy, all right, and he's going to destroy himself, okay, with his own device, okay, with his own instrument that he has created. And see, this is why we need Yahweh Shah to intervene, all right, so we can be, beamed up into them chariots and be not partakers of her sins, and be not partaker of the plague that's coming upon America, right? So let's go back to 2nd Ezra, all right, real quick, and 16. And this is, I had it in the book over here. I mean, in my phone. I felt like using the book today. This is 16 and, oh, my bad. Oh, one more. Salakia. This is 16 and let's take it back at 8. It says, the mighty Lord Yahweh Shah sendeth the plagues, and who is he that can drive them away? Okay. A fire shall go forth from his wrath, and who is he that may quench it? He shall cast lightnings, and who shall not fear? He shall thunder, and who shall not be afraid? The Lord Yahweh Shah shall threaten, and who shall not be utterly beaten to powder at his presence? The earth quaketh, and the foundations thereof. Yeah, because it tells you that in Isaiah the 24th chapter, right? Verse 20. All right, that the earth shall reel to and fro like a drunkard. All right, that's how hard that America's going to get hit, that the whole entire planet is going to be rocked. Okay, the whole entire planet is going to be rocked, right? So it says, Salakia. So it says, give me 1 second. It says, the earth quaketh and the foundations thereof, the sea ariseth up with the waves from the deep, and the waves of it are troubled, and the fishes thereof also before the Lord Yahweh Shai, and before the glory of his power. For strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow. His arrows that he shooteth are sharp, and shall not miss when they begin to be shot into the ends of the world. Okay, and we know that there's no such thing as an arrow being shot from one end of the earth to another. All right, so this is talking about the thermonuclear missiles. All right, strong is his right hand that bendeth the bow, going into those missile silos that actually launch out the missile. Okay, it says his arrows that he shooteth are sharp. Yeah, and each and one of those sharp missiles, all right, are gonna hit where they need to hit. All right, because the Lord's spirit is gonna be in each and one of them. You see, none of them shall break their ranks, as it tells you in Joel. Okay, so every single one of those missiles are gonna go exactly where they need to be. It says, behold, the plagues are sent, and shall not return again until they come upon the earth. The fire is kindled and shall not be put out till it consume the foundations of the earth. You see, like as an arrow which is shot of a mighty archer returneth backward, returneth not backward, even so the plagues that shall be sent upon earth shall not return again. Okay, woe is me, who will deliver me in those days? All right, and the only one that could deliver you is Yahweh Shai. You see, Ezra was going crazy when he seen this dream. You see, because it was such a horrific dream. All right, to see how the Lord was putting this place and turn it into that lake of fire. Okay, that's what that lake of fire is. That this place is going to be hit with so many missiles that from the distance, all right, from the chariots to us, it's going to look like a lake of fire. Okay, and only those that are of the elect are going to be able to witness that through the chariots when we're beamed up. All right, as the scriptures say, the righteous shall scarcely be saved. All right, meaning what? Through the skin of our teeth. Okay, like we're literally the flames is going to be just burning. All right, as we getting beamed up at the same time. All right, you're gonna have flames basically almost touching that ass as we getting beamed up. You see, so let's go back to Ezekiel, the 38th chapter. All right, it says, verse 5, Persia. All right, Persia, Ethiopia, and Libya, with them, all of them with shield and helmet. Gomer, all right, which Gomer goes into the Turks, okay, which you also saw Russia joining with Turkey too, okay. Damn, man, all my shit is falling, huh? All right. So it says, in 1 second, what was I? So I kept hearing something fall. I'm like, damn, it's my little LED lights. They unsticking. It's probably because it's so hot in here. All right, but anyway, it says Gomer, all right, which is these Turks and all his bands, the house of Togarmah of the north quarters and all his bands and many people with thee. Okay, so basically going into all these different nations teaming up, all right, with Russia. Okay, it says, be thou prepared and prepare for thyself, thou and all thy company that are assembled unto thee, and be thou a guard unto them. Okay, so Russia being that guard, okay, onto these nations that basically America has always tried to compromise the empire through the petrodollar. You see, and this is why you see them trying to go to war with Venezuela. trying to go to war with Iran, all right, because they really always wanted the oil. You see, why you think they went out there and they stuck up that oil, that whole oil refinery, man? You see that boat that had all that oil, all right, because that's what it's really about. It's about them taking the resources of these countries, man, especially when they don't want to go, when they don't want to follow after the system that they're trying to set up. You see, because you always had Iran that would go against that system. You know, you always had what you gonna call it? You had Venezuela trying to go against that system. They didn't want to be partakers of it. So what happens is that Esau, when you do that, all right, he'll try to wage war with you, man. Okay, and that's pretty much why you had like the Americans basically killed Gaddafi, Assad, all right, because they didn't want to be partakers of that of their system. They didn't want to join with them. You see, they'd rather be on their own. So America always does that, try to jump into someone's backyard and just take their shit. You see, so let's continue on. All right, it says, and many days thou shalt be visited in the latter years, thou shalt come into the land that is brought back from the sword and is gathered out of many people against the mountains of Israel, which have been always waste, but it is brought forth out of the nations, and they shall dwell safely of all of them. Okay, it says, thou shalt ascend and come like a storm. Thou shalt be like a cloud to cover the land, thou and all thy bands, and many people with thee. All right, going into basically these them coming together to go against these different nations. I mean, going against America. All right, it says, thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come onto thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought. All right, and that evil thought is basically Russia going up to them unwalled villages, all right, which we're unwalled right now, meaning that we have no protection. You see, because we have America that's in different parts of the land right now, all right, I mean different parts of the world, and they're all trying to wage war against these different places. See, instead of being a keeper at home, all right, and protecting everything here in America, all right, they want to be in everybody's backyard. So that just leaves this place open. All right, this is why you got a lot of sleeper cells out here. You got a lot of, this place is open for, inside job attacks, made on this place, which they pretty much set it up that way anyway, but it's all prophecy of Yahweh Bashem Yahweh Shai. But see, this is why, all right, Putin's going to have that evil thought, all right, to go against America, all right, to the unwalled villages and basically destroy it, all right, and all these other nations. As a matter of fact, let me grab Ecclesiasticus 25. All right, this is 25 and 26 and 12 in Ecclesiasticus. She will open her mouth as a thirsty traveler, right? When he has found the fountain and drink of every water. Hold on. Page is bent. It says to drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow. All right. And that's going into, we know that goes into these whores are basically giving up opening up their legs to every man that comes their way. All right. But remember, America is considered as a whore. You see? So the time is going to come, all right, that she's going to open her mouth as a thirsty traveler. Where is she going to be? Everywhere. You see? She's going to be wherever she don't need to be. You see? It says when he has found the fountain and drink of every water. Yeah, she goes to every place, all right, because they have the blessing of the fatness of the earth. You see? It says drink of every water near her. By every hedge will she sit down and open her quiver against every arrow. All right. And we know that these missiles are considered in the scriptures metaphorically as arrows. You see? So by her being that unwalled village, all right, with no protection, all right, she's going to be able to open her quiver against every arrow. That's why every arrow is going to be able to come into this place and destroy over 200 million missiles. Okay, 200 million missiles is literally going to hit here. All right, and none of them are going to break ranks. That means that nothing that you can do, all right, with your systems of, protection, defense systems that they have, are going to be able to protect you. Okay. Every single one of them are going to fail. All right. Because again, the Lord, all right, is going to have the spirit in each and one of those missiles to hit this place. All right. So Babylon, the Babylon, the great whore. All right. She going to end up opening herself up. All right. To every single arrow that's going to be shot toward it. All right. And end up being annihilated. All right. So let's go back to Ezekiel 38 and 10. Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, it shall also come to pass that at the same time shall things come into thy mind, and thou shalt think an evil thought, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest. Yeah, and this place is always at rest, at ease. You see, her mentality, right? America's mentality is that I sit as a queen and am no widow. You see, she has that spirit of I can't be touched. Okay. It says that's why it says, come sit down in the dust, O virgin daughter of Babylon. Why she being considered as a virgin? Because a virgin is someone that's never been touched. All right. So no one's actually, actually hit America that hard yet. All right. But see, the Lord is about to bring it and bring that wrath. All right. It says, and thou shalt say, I will go up to the land of the unwalled villages. I will go to them that are at rest, that dwell safely, all of them dwelling without walls and having no bars nor gates, to take a spoil and to take a prey, to turn thine hand upon the desolate places that are now inhabited, and upon the people that are gathered out of the nations, which have gotten cattle, goods, and which have gotten cattle and goods, that dwell in the midst of the land. You see. So eventually, all right, like the Lord said, all right, Revelations 18, and let's grab that real quick, 18 and 15. In fact, I might not even have Revelations 15. Yeah, I've done lost the whole book of Revelations in this Bible. Grab it from my phone. This is Revelations 18 and 5. So like I'm at 15. This is let's just grab it from 11. It says, and the merchants of the earth shall weep and mourn over her, for no man buyeth their merchandise anymore. The merchandise of gold and silver and precious stones and of pearls and of fine linen and purple and silk and scarlet and all thine wood, all right, and all manner vessels of ivory and all manner vessels of precious wood and of brass and iron and marble. This is speaking about America, all the different luxuries that America has, where people come from all over the world to receive these things. You see, America's that cash cow. All right. And all these other nations benefit off of America by selling these different merchandises onto our people. Right. It says, in cinnamon and odors and ointments and frankincense and wine and oil and fine flour and wheat and beasts and sheep and horses and chariots and slaves and souls of men. Yeah, because even here you have people, they'll sell you slaves and souls of men here. You see, it says, and the fruits that thy soul lusted after are departed from thee, and all things which were dainty and goodly are departed from thee, and thou shalt find them no more at all. The merchants of these things which were made rich by her shall stand afar off for the fear of her torment, weeping and wailing, and saying, alas, alas, that great city that was clothed in fine linen and purple and scarlet and decked with gold and precious stones and pearls. For in 1 hour so great riches is come to naught, and every shipmaster and all the company and ships and sailors, as many as trade by sea, stood afar off, and cried when they saw the smoke of her burning, saying, what city is like unto this great city? Yeah, so eventually you'll have all these different nations, all right, they're going to be wailing, because again, America is that cash cow. You see, this was how they were making that living. This is how they were making themselves rich, all right, through the abundance of the things that America had. You see, Shalom Malak, Bashim Yahshua Barakatah. Okay, so this is what's coming to Babylon the Great. All right, whether they like it or not. All right. The Lord said that Babylon has been a golden cup. All right. Let's grab that real quick. This is Jeremiah 51. And let's grab it from one, and I'll jump down a couple. It says, "Thus saith the Lord Yahweh, behold, I will raise up against Babylon and against them that dwell in the midst of them, that raise up against me a destroying wind." All right. And that destroying wind, all right, is going into those missiles, man. Going into those missiles from Iran, from Russia, from NATO, from China. You see, these are all them that are in the midst of them. Right. It says, "And I will send unto Babylon, America, fanners that shall fan her and shall empty her land. For in the day of trouble, they shall be against her round about." You see, all these nations, and that's what you see. All these nations is turning against America, even the allies, all right, that were once in league with them. All right, let's grab that real quick. Obadiah. This is, 1 second, getting there. This is Obadiah 1 and 7. Get there. There you go. This is Obadiah 1 and 7, and it says, actually 1 and yeah, 1 and 7 says, "All the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is none understanding in him." All right. So, you know, these people that were once at peace, all right, and who's usually the ones that are at peace with you? Your allies. Okay. So your allies, okay, America's allies are going to end up turning against them. They're going to deceive America and prevail against them. See, because what's going to happen is eventually America is just going to want to take over everything, as they always have done, you know, and all these nations is going to look at America like, all right, man, it's either us or them, you see, and because they have the power, all right, and they're showing their teeth, all right, and they're no longer, you know, these wimpy nations, all right, they're going to stand up for their own countries, man. You see, and eventually come together. That's what's going to end up happening. They're going to say it's either going to be us or them, and we might as well just team up with the powerhouses that are running shit right now. All right, and you know, we know that America runs shit through a certain type of you know, as with a certain type of limit right now. All right, because they always have ran these things. All right, but see now with all these nations, you know, these brick nations, all right, standing together and standing tall together, all right, they're no longer that powerhouse no more. So they might as well just join the BRICS nation. They might as well join these other countries that are powerhouses also, because they're not joining America, you see. So America's being left alone, you see. So it says, all the men of thy confederacy have brought thee even to the border. The men that were at peace with thee have deceived thee and prevailed against thee. They that eat thy bread have laid a wound under thee. There is no understanding in him. Right. So going back to Jeremiah 51 and 2, "And I will send unto Babylon fanners, and they shall fan her and shall empty her land for the day of trouble. For the day of trouble, so like, for in the day of trouble they shall be against her round about." Okay, against him that bendeth, let the arrow bend his bow, and against him that lifteth himself up in his brigadine. All right, and who's the one that's constantly lifting themselves up with pride? You see, Esau, the pride of thine heart has deceived thee. Okay, it says, "And spare ye not her young, destroy ye utterly all her host." Okay, all the armies. Thus the slain shall fall in the land of the Chaldeans, and they that are thrust through in her streets. For Israel has not been forsaken, nor Judah of his power, of the Lord of hosts, though their land was filled with sin against the Holy One of Israel. Flee out of the midst of Babylon, and deliver every man his soul, and be not cut off in her iniquity. For this is the time of the Lord Yahweh's vengeance. he will render unto her a recompense. Babylon has been a golden cup in the Lord's hand that made all the earth drunken. The nations have drunk of her wine, therefore the nations are mad. You see, and this is why they're gonna eventually all turn against them. All right, because all these nations are mad against Babylon. You see, they all have drank that wine and philosophy from them. All right, and you know how it is when you drunk, right? When you drunk and you eventually come back to your senses, you realize half of the shit you done did. You see, you done see these nations realize by drinking the wrath. I mean, by drinking the wine and philosophies of America, they realize that they have destroyed their own countries, man. They have destroyed themselves. You see, because they all took on that same type of wine. All right, and eventually that's why they're gonna turn against them. You see, a perfect example, right? To show you how these different nations have drank the same wine, the same philosophies of America. Look at China, right? China is one of the main ones that love to glorify themselves, just like America. Okay, as a matter of fact, it tells you that in Second Ezra's. Go back, Second Ezra's. 16th chapter. I mean the 15th chapter, Salakia. All right. And boy, these pages is falling apart on another level. This is 15, and let's take it from 46. It says, "And thou, Asia," all right, going into Moab, right, China, "thou art partakers of the hope of Babylon, and art the glory of her person." Okay, yeah, because America, all right, uses China for everything. Everything that's here in America comes from China. That's why if you read the back of your products, everything says what? Made in China. All right, so that's what it means, that thou art the glory of her person. Okay, it says, "Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because thou hast made thyself like unto her." You see, like unto what? All right, going into America. Okay, so you always had, you know, China, Korea, you know, all of those places want to be just like America. Okay, it says, "And has decked thy daughters in whoredom, and that thou might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee." You see, and we know that this whore, right, America, all right, has everybody caught up in her whoredoms, in her philosophies, in her ways. Okay, so America has always, China has always wanted to be like America. That's why you see them constantly, comparing themselves to each other. You see, that's why you see China always trying to, outdo America. All right, here it is that America wanted to set up this beast system and this certain particular new world order. All right, and look who went to it first, who beat them to the punch first. You see, you got China's already in that mindset of bringing their new world order in. Okay, you already see them in with digital IDs and all that. But where did they get all the thoughts from? Where did they get all the same ideas from? From America. That's how you know that each and one of these nations sit down at the table together, pursuant to Psalms, the 83rd chapter. They sit down next to each other and they conspire against, all of Israel. You see, each and one of these different nations, all right? And it's basically a race to who could get there first, all right? And China's always so advanced, way advanced than America, okay? So it says, "Woe be unto thee, thou wretch, because they has made thyself like unto her, and has decked thy daughters in whoredom, and that they might please and glory in thy lovers, which have always desired to commit whoredom with thee. Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works." You see, and whoever follows after the works of Babylon the Great, all right, that's why you're gonna be much hated by the Lord. You see, because the Lord hates Babylon the Great. He hates America. He hates, all right, these Edomites that rule the world. All right, this Khazarian empire, right? These Amalekites that rule. All right, that's why the Lord said he will always have war with Amalek from generation to generation, man, because he has always hated the nation of Esau, man. All right, the nation of Edom. Okay, he has loved Jacob, but he has hated Esau, right? It says, Thou hast followed her that is hated in all her works and in inventions. Okay, yeah, this place is about nothing but inventions and different types of um what's the word I'm looking for, devices. All right, they have all these different types of inventions and devices, all right, and ideas. All right, and what do? They go to these other nations, all right, and pretty much use our tax dollars, all right, to get all these other nations to come and make these devices with them, or make them for them. All right, again, remember, China's the main one. Everything that's made here as a device, all right, as an invention, it comes from China. All right, and they really be stealing these ideas from Jake. All right, because Jake is the former of all things. So they'll try to find ways. This is why they ask you in school and shit like that. What do you want to do when you grow up? What kind of ideas you got for the future? As we were kids, what I'm saying, they used to ask us those questions all the time. All right. And what you would do is you would send a little piece of paper in and give it to one of your teachers. And what do you think all them ideas that you had, all right, went? All right, went to a lot of these scientists, man. This is how they knew what to make, all right, according to the things you asked for. Okay. So it says, again, they were always an influence. Okay. It says, I will send plagues upon thee. All right. This is what's going to eventually happen to China. I will send plagues upon thee, widowhood, poverty, famine, sword, and pestilence to waste thy houses with destruction and death. And the glory of thy power shall be dried up as flour when the heat shall arise that is sent over thee. Thou shalt be weakened as a poor woman with stripes, as one that is chastised with wounds, so that the mighty and lovers shall not be able to receive thee. You see, so eventually, okay, they will be brought down. Okay, and then it says, would I with jealousy have so proceeded against thee, saith the Lord Yahushai, if thou hadst not always slain my chosen, exulting the stroke of thine hands, and saying over their dead when thou was drunken. All right, basically going back to Babylon and all these other nations. Okay, it says the reward, set forth the beauty of thy countenance, the reward of thy whoredom shall be in thy bosom, therefore shalt thou receive recompense. So basically going to all the atrocities that these people have committed against us. Okay, like as thou hast done unto my chosen, saith the Lord Yahushua, even so shall Yahweh do unto thee, and shall deliver thee into mischief. Okay, so they're gonna have to drink of that same cup, especially Esau, Edom, and all these other nations. That's why eventually they will all go into captivity. All those, let me grab that real quick, Jeremiah 30. All right, all those nations that were against us, all right, they're going to be going through the same thing that we went through. This is 30 and 16. And it says, therefore, all they that devour thee shall be devoured, and all thine adversaries, every one of them, shall go into captivity, and they that spoil thee shall be a spoil, and all that prey upon thee will I give for a prey. You see, so eventually, all these nations gonna feel the wrath of the Lord. Also, they're gonna have to drink of that same cup. But the main ones, all right, being let me just grab that real quick. Esau, Edom. All right, this is Jeremiah. Lamentations 4 and 21. It says, rejoice and be glad, O daughter of Edom, thou that dwellest in the land of Uz. The cup also shall pass through unto thee. Thou shalt be drunken, and thou shalt make thyself naked. The punishment of thine iniquity is accomplished, O daughter of Zion. Yeah, this is the last captivity. All right. He will no more carry thee away into captivity. He will visit thine iniquity, O daughter of Edom. He will discover thy sins. You see, so that same cup has to be passed on to Esau, Edom. Okay, his shame has been spewed out, as the scriptures say. All right, that Esau can no longer hide himself. Okay, so that's pretty much the point. Just wanted to go into touching that. Now you got China and Russia saying that they're going to be a guard onto Iran and in Venezuela. All right, and that's all prophecy. All right, all these nations eventually, man, I'm trying to tell you, this Bible falling apart here. um, all these nations gonna actually, come against America, Babylon the Great, within due time. All right, what you're seeing right now is little by little, the Lord in increments bringing all these nations together and making, the beast hate the whore more and more. Every single day, these devils, all right, America does something to piss off another nation, you know, until eventually, all right, that time comes, which we're patiently waiting for them to, what we're really waiting for is we're waiting for that MOTB, all right, to be made mandatory. Because once that is made mandatory, because everything has to happen in chronological order. Once it's made mandatory, World War III is going to be that fast, that quick. You see. So what you're hearing right now, and with this is basically Matthew the 24th chapter. All right, you're just hearing rumors of wars over and over again because the Lord, the rumors of wars are nothing but signs and warnings that the Lord continues to give our people, telling them to repent, man. You see, but the doors of mercy is closing up real quick. Okay, this is Matthew 24:6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. Okay, so again, we see these things being spoken of, but these things you can't be troubled of them yet because these things must come to pass. All right, but the end is not yet. Why? Because it has to happen in chronological order. Once you see that MOTB, that RFID be made mandatory, see, man, you ain't got too much time left after that. Things are going to move extra quickly. They're already moving faster than ever. You see, the Lord is shortening up the days for the elect's sake. But when that time comes, that the hour of temptation is brought upon us, it's going to be, it's going to be even quicker. All right, the days. Okay, and this is why. All right, it says right here. Let me drop down a little bit. I'll take it from 12. It says, because iniquity shall abound, the love of many shall wax cold. All right. And, that goes worldwide. The love of many is waxing cold worldwide. There is no more peace. There is no such thing as peace treaties. And we just come together and try to come up with a solution. Everybody, all right, is waxing worse and cold, man. Colder and colder because of the times that we're in. We're in dangerous times, you see. It says, but he that shall endure to the end, the same shall be saved. All right. And that's going to be the elect. And this gospel of the kingdom shall be preached in all the world for a witness unto all nations. And then shall the end come. All right. So, this word is being preached throughout the four corners of the earth, man, through the way of the internet. You see, this is why that internet, all right, is about to be cut off soon. All right. This is why they're trying to find ways for us not to preach on the internet anymore. They want to make it harder and harder. All right, because they're trying to stop the mouth of the Lord, which is through the voice of the prophets. Okay, because we're the ones that's keeping the people, on their toes. All right, they don't want us to continue to have you guys learning. All right, to understand what time we're in, because remember, knowledge and wisdom is going to be the stability of that time. So they don't want you to be stabilized. They want you to be confused. They want you to be all over the place. So because when you're confused, all right, it's easier for them to control you and to set you up, all right, with their system. Okay, but if you have this knowledge and wisdom, all right, you're going to be rooted and grounded in Yahweh Shai. So you're not going to have a care in the world for their system. You see, and that's what they fear, because the more people don't go towards their system and they just call what they call it strength in numbers. The more people don't go towards their system and combine together to go against it, all right, it's a problem to them. But eventually we know that's not going to happen, man, because only 1/3 of our people, all right, are going to be able to understand his word and turn back to the Lord. 2/3 of our people have to be cut off and die. And all these other nations are going to die off anyway. None of these nations is going to be saved. Only the nation of Israel, but that's their plan, that they don't want people to wake up in numbers. Okay. But that's pretty much the point. Just wanted to bring that out through the spirit. So Lord willing, it was edified. Barakatah Yahweh, Barakatah Yahweh Shai, Call Haloim La Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem, Bachakodash. Double honors to the elders and apostles of Great Millstone. You're well. Blessings and salutations to the hopeful elect that scattered abroad, the Akim and the Akwat that was listening in. Yahweh Ratazah, Lord willing, that the lesson was edifying. To the next one, Shalom. Keep fighting the good fight of faith, doing as good soldiers of Yahushua. Sisters, continue to learn in silence, watching the true men of the Lord, and keep your faith up to the end. Those that keep it up to the end shall endure and shall be saved. Shalom, brother. Yahweh Bashem Yahushua Barakatah.